Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Review Cade. My name is Andrew.
And I'm Nick, and we are discovering this new Spider-Man app that Genki created that will alerts us of every crime and citizen that needs help in New York City.
Yar. Is there a basketball playing option? Because I see courts.
Nah.
Nobody's playing out in December in New York? What a bunch of ding-dongs. It's almost like it's cold or something.
No, you know it'd be New York. Nah, you know somewhere there's somebody outside balling in New York City with a pair of Timbs on.
Somebody's playing shirts and skins out in the middle of
winter.
December weather.
Yep.
Somebody's messing with the sensors. I'm getting bad data from the main relay up top of Grand Central.
On my way.
Wait.
Yeah?
Where's the other Spider-Man?
Oh, he's on vacation. But don't worry, I got this.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, and so in this universe, it's known that other Marvel characters live in this universe because there's, if you're on New York City in the first Spider-Man game, you can see right there too. There's Avengers Tower straight ahead of us. They have the Sanctorum from Doctor Strange. They have the Wakandan Embassy. So my hope is that like after couple more Spider-Man games, that they actually are like, hey, let's have an Avengers game, or Insomniac is like, hey, let's do like an Iron Man game or something, because that would be awesome.
Does Insomniac actually own rights to that?
To Iron Man, I don't think they do.
Because that would have to be like Marvel would have to sign off on it.
Marvel would have to do that, yeah. Like the reason why they're able to do this with Sony is because Sony still owns they own the rights to Spider-Man for the movies, I believe. I'm not sure if that goes to the games as well. But yeah, it's all just a bunch of licensing stuff. They do own Insomniac, so if they wanted to, they can probably go to Marvel like, hey, we have an idea for like a Black Panther game or an Iron Man game or something. Would you give us the rights to that and stuff like that?
Because I feel like they would do a really great job with doing an Avengers game. I mean, just from the amount of time and effort that they've put into something like this. Granted, they would have to like really flush out what each character is capable of, and like it would be a huge game because you have all these different characters you have to complete missions with and stuff. But the other thing that I think they could do, and it would really, this is what I mean by like the size and scope of it. It's an Avengers game. They would have to have multiple locations.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't just have New York City. It would be multiple maps. And that would have to be like a late this new gen or the next gen would have to, just for processing power, size and scope, etc. If they wanted to do like a full-sized open world Avengers game like this, they would have to have like insane processing power and like storage space, etc. Like I could feasibly see Insomniac doing that, pulling that off on like the Xbox, the PlayStation 6 would have to be. You know what I mean?
I think they can actually do that this current gen if they really wanted to.
But do you think that it would be as a detriment to what they currently have? Do you know what I mean?
No, because I think so here's how it could work is that it would have to be an open world, just like technically Spider-Man's an open world game, or actually the Spider-Man games are open world, but they do technically only take part in like certain parts of New York. Like this one is like strictly Harlem and stuff like that, or certain parts of New York City. You can't venture to like other parts of New York. So if they were to do an Avengers game, it might be something where, you split up the team, where Black Widow and Hawkeye are in Spain, and so you have like a Spain map, or it's more sandboxy type. It would have to be if it were open world. I mean, the thing is too is I think of like a game like God of War, the remake, which is technically a sequel. As well, but you go through different worlds because you're going throughout all Norse mythology. So you're going through all the different worlds and realms and stuff like that. So they can do something like that with an Avengers game where you're traveling to like different realms or different areas and stuff like that. Yeah, so they can possibly do it. Again, it might not be as much of an open world. It might be more like a sandbox type of game, but they can definitely do it.
But that's what I'm saying is I really feel like if they wanted to have, like, okay, here are the heroes that you can play in this part of the world or universe.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
They would, in order for them to have something at the scope of this Spider-Man game for each character, right? So you have same number of missions. You have the size and scope for each character. Like you have a full game for Spider-Man, right? Mm-hmm. You would have to have, in order for them to do an Avengers game, they would have to have something of like similar. I don't know. I feel like it would feel almost. I almost want to say the way they could execute it is to have one massive planet, right?
Right.
And you get to choose what character you want to play through it as. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so, like,
you can also...
you have options to play it as Panther, you have options to play it as Iron Man, and they build the world so that you can play them as whichever... Like, it's a story that you're allowed to play as whatever character that you want to play.
I think that, while that's a great idea, I think that it might be a bit too... I'm just thinking of, like, ways that other games have been able to do stuff similar to that. It might be too big for scale. What I can see is, again, going back to the first Spider-Man game, where like they split time basically, where things are where it's more broke up into chapters. Where like, okay, chapter 1 is Iron Man, chapter 2 Thor, chapter 3 Hawkeye and Black Widow. You can but maybe when you have like a team up like Hawkeye and Black Widow, you can choose, hey, I want to do missions as Black Widow or missions as Hawkeye, and the storyline kind of somewhat changes a little bit.
That's why I was saying it would, if they were to do something like I was suggesting, it would have to be on like a PlayStation 6. It would have to be next gen, because right now, size and scope, we've got a lot size and scope wise. We definitely have a lot of space. The open worlds that are being created and developed for games are amazing for singular characters. Mm-hmm. But if they wanted to do a play whichever Avenger that you want to play game in an open world, it would have, like you said, that it would be such a large and expansive map. I don't think it'd be possible on this gen, possibly on the next gen, possibly on a PlayStation 6, an Xbox Series, whatever the hell it is, even though that's not Insomniac. But you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It would not... The idea that I have is not something currently feasible on these gens, unless they were to break it up into smaller chunks, like you're saying.
Right. Well, another thing I think about, too, is Grand Theft Auto 5, where you have 3 characters you can jump in between. Mm-hmm. They could maybe do something like that. Yeah, it would be interesting to see how they would do that. Of course, you can always go with the Marvel Ultimate Alliance route, where you just have, like, a team of Avengers, like, at all times. You can just swap between who you want to play as.
We won't mention the
the Square Enix, no.
Outside of saying that we will not be talking about it.
No.
No.
And that's a different game. That's more of like a looter type of game.
A looter, yeah. I think that if they wanted to make a game like this, which I think is totally within the realm of possibilities, going the Grand Theft Auto route would definitely be... The only thing is that now you have to have character mechanics or build the world in a way that all 3 different characters are able to function in. Because yes, each of the 3 characters in Grand Theft Auto are, they're basically the same. They all shoot. But the difference is like where they're from. One guy's rich. One, they have different stories. But when you're dealing with heroes that have different mechanics, Iron Man's going to play different than Thor, is going to play different than Hawkeye, is going to play different than Black Panther. So they would have to build the world in such a way that it's possible for you to play in this one world as any one of the characters and have just as much fun in the experience.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing too.
That's the difficulty.
That's where I do see something like where your point of saying like, hey, it might be like on a PS6 or a later console because, again, we haven't played a PS5 yet, so we don't know, and it's still early in its launch, so we don't know, what kind of things it's really capable of.
Going to be capable of.
So who knows? I mean, and also who knows, what games they have planned for later and stuff like that. But, yeah, because it's like, hey, when you're playing as Iron Man, hitting somebody...
You're not going to be doing acrobatics. You're going to be floating in air, shooting missiles, shooting
but
bullets.
What I'm saying is when I use a pulsar or I use a punch on Iron Man, it has to hit different than when I'm playing as a Hulk. Because I'm playing as a Hulk, people have to go flying.
And then you also have to have different environmental things, like Hulk can pick up that industrial dumpster and throw it at people.
Right.
The environment, and I think that's again another reason why it would come down to being something on a higher gen. We've had just things like quasi-destructible environments in games like Battlefield, but you would have to go crazy that most environments would be destroyable. In a game like that, because you have characters like the Hulk, which is you'd have to be able to bust through walls. Yeah. You can't. Yes, scaling things and doing all that kind of stuff is important, but you would have to have the ability to have so many more interactable pieces in the environment than what is that at least games right now. And yes, we're in early point in these gens. So who's to say? But I feel like that's something that just in processing power of things may need to be next gen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens and what they do.
I would be so excited for a game like that, though.
Oh yeah, that'd be amazing.
I'd play that shit out of that game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, it's like, oh yeah, that Spider-Man the game was fun, but now you can play as anybody from the roster. Even you just go through 20 heroes. I can play as any of these guys.
Oh yeah, that's the thing, is that would be really, really fun. And again, going back to an Ultimate Alliance discussion, I bought the new Ultimate Alliance for Switch, and it's actually a pretty fun game. Being able to jump between people and stuff like that. It's really, really fun. So yeah, if I was to see something on this kind of scale of an Avengers game, and it actually was really good,
Insomniac developing an Avengers game would be awesome. If Marvel got together and was came to Insomniac and came to Sony. I mean, this would be the crossover of a lifetime. And was we're going to build the Avengers game, and we want you to be responsible for making it. Though I wonder if, I mean, Insomniac has been strictly Sony, hasn't it?
Yeah, because Sony bought them.
So I wonder if then, since Marvel would want to make even more money, if they'd be we want you to develop this game, Marvel would have to convince Sony to be we want you to build a game.
Right.
For all systems. At the same time, if you look at the purchase that Microsoft did of Bethesda, it's almost we're getting to a point where that's gonna be eventually I feel that's going to become commonplace.
Right.
Where major game company purchases like Bethesda being bought by Microsoft, a lot of the money is going to Microsoft in that instance of a Marvel of a Insomniac game. If they're going to develop it for both systems, the majority of the money is going to be going to Sony, right? The majority of the financials are going to go outside of the game disc or downloads or what have you. But because they own Insomniac, they're going to make more majority of that money. But we're now at a place where major companies like Microsoft and Sony are purchasing whole gaming production. I feel it's not out of the realm of possibilities for them to do something like that for all systems or develop it for all consoles, PC, etc.
Yeah.
Though I doubt we will be seeing this game on the Nintendo Switch anytime soon. As much as I love Nintendo, they're not really known for their graphical fidelity and that sort of stuff. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, Witcher 3 is on the Switch, but yeah, again, it's not
It's
like it's
Witcher 3.
It's Witcher 3.
Like,
but
it came out how long ago?
Right, but still, the fact that it's on the Switch is still a great achievement.
They're catching up. They're catching up. Slowly but surely, they'll get there.
All right, let's see. I gotta go up here. I have to line these trains. I think I gotta go up here.
So now that I know that this is a train game simulator,
yes,
that's it's not actually like the whole first part. Yes, it's great that this was the start is a Spider-Man game, but this is actually a train simulator after this point. I think that it's only fair that we tell our audience what to expect. That realistically, it's just Spider-Man going around and collecting trains.
Yeah,
different models, makes, models, driving them, etc. I think that's a realistic Spider-Man, the train game.
Tom's the Tank Engine makes us. He's a unlockable character.
Oh Lord.
So I have to basically, I have to make a tether. So I look at generator. Yep. And then that, and then there's a line, and then there you go. And that's the thing is that in this game there are puzzles. That's how they're used in this game. It's more like puzzle elements. But yeah, now the train is a go, and yeah. So that's Aaron, the guy who we just helped, is Miles' uncle, who is this isn't a spoiler because the guy's been around for years. He's the Prowler. So yeah.
You didn't christen the subway train before you sent it out.
I know. I'm sorry. I was all out of wine bottles. But hey.
Just ask Wino if he can bring.
One. We can bring him from prison or wherever he is, and just.
That we have to change the names of the villains in this now. Now that the tradition has been set for Wino. Culture.
Doc Glock. It's just instead his arms are just machine guns now.
Rey Mysterio.
I mean, it's a real person, but it works. Okay, now I'm trying to think.
Well, then it would be stereo.
Yeah.
Stereos.
God, what else can we do? The Jolly Green Goblin. Man. I'm literally trying to think.
I was thinking like Green Hoblin. Like his whole shtick is that he can't walk very well.
That's why he isn't a glider.
You took me out of my glider, Spider-Man. Now I can't get anywhere.
Oh, by the way, that Skeletor thing you showed me last night was awesome.
Yes.
So Andrew showed me there's an Instagram page, which what's the name of it again?
And I highly recommend everybody visit it. It is Skeletor is love.
Yes, and it's basically like
inspirational quotes.
It's inspirational
over
quotes
pictures of Skeletor.
Over pictures of Skeletor. It's like I
today I'll walk outside and smell the roses.
And it's him like holding a flower or something. And
today I'm grateful for my support group.
Yeah. And it was like today I lift up my enemies, or I lift up those around me. It's like him like with He-Man over his head or whatever. So Gadget Select. Remember I was telling you about those drones? How you can shoot them out?
You were just using those a little bit ago.
So I'm gonna do it right now. And they help you fight bad guys, which is great. One thing I do like about this game too, compared to the other Spider-Man game, this is something I touched on in an earlier episode. Not this game, but just when we were playing a different game. I was talking about Sekiro, and I said, hey, yeah, you have all these weapons, all these things you can upgrade, but I've never really used them, so what's the point of upgrading them? Well, this one does something that's really good that improves on something that the first Spider-Man game did, where first Spider-Man game, there was a lot of gadgets, but there was never like web bombs and all those other things. And yeah, I would maybe use a couple things from time to time, but again, I never really used them because again, you can get by with fighting people straight up and stuff like that. This one, there aren't as many items that you can be using. There's not that many gadgets, so which is nice because that way you're not like having to go through multiple menus.
Well,
and
then you're also focusing specifically on how you can utilize them the best.
right. Exactly, and again, I think that when you have to focus on like certain items like that or certain gadgets, you're really allowing for more combat to be used and really for it to shine more. Which I will say this, the fighting in Spider-Man, like just the combat alone, I think is much better than the Arkham games. And the reason why I say that is because even though those Arkham games come out years earlier than the Spider-Man games, and yes, Batman's more of a brawny type of character and stuff like that, but it felt a little bit more stiff when you're fighting, and I like...
This definitely hits it a little bit more cinematically.
Yes. Yeah. And so I gotta throw his desktop, and it's a bomb, and I gotta do this to it so it explodes, and... oh, shit. And the funny thing is, if I go down below the bridge there, like, again, the guy won't die. He'll just be, like, attached to a wall or something like that. It's really interesting. It's actually kind of hilarious.
Did you just, like...
I literally
electrocute his balls?
No, his chest. I basically use a I am a human defibrillator.
Ah. So this is a medical drama.
It is.
Ah, gotcha. There's not a lot of medical drama games out there.
No. Oh.
You dingus, you shot your own guy. Boop. Put him down.
As you can tell, I've been playing this game a lot.
Just a little bit, yeah. Uh-oh, you gotta take care of some bombs.
Oh, shit. Oh, I was almost dead. Oh, fuck.
Uh-oh.
There we go. One more. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Sevens, sixes, fiveses, fourses, threeses,
Shit. Where is it? Oh, it's right there. Okay.
Oh! And...
Oh! Oh, I think right there is a good place to end this episode. So, as always, be sure to subscribe to our channel, click the bell icon so you get notifications when new videos go up, and as always, you know what? Be sure to hit us up on social media, facebook.com/reviewcade. We're also on Twitter and Instagram @reviewcade. And again, subscribe to our channel, and as always, we will see you on Wednesday with more Spider-Man Miles Morales, and Andrew will be playing both episodes next week. So, yeah. Have a great rest of your weekend, everybody, and we will see you all next time.
Bye!